Hi everyone, welcome to the session on signals and systems. So up to the last class we have completed the concepts related with the signals. So what is signal and what are the basic classifications of the signals? So what are the standard signals? So what are the different operations we are going to perform on the signals? So everything we have discussed in the last class with respect to the signals. So in this class we are going to discuss the systems. In this class we are going to discuss the systems. So what is a system? So what is a system? A system is nothing but the process. A system is nothing but the process which processes the input signal. So which processes the input signal. So and gives the output signal. And gives output signal. So up to the last class we completed the entire concepts related with the signals. So what is signal and what are the classifications of the signals? So what are the elementary signals we have and what are the different operations we performed on the signals? So in this class we have to discuss the concepts related with the systems. So for that you should know the definition of system first. A system is nothing but a process. So all of you remember, a system is nothing but a process which processes your input signal and produce an output signal This is the system, or in other words, a system is nothing but the meaningful interconnection of various devices and components. A system is nothing but a meaningful interconnection of various devices and components. For example, your electrical motor, generator, motor. So a motor is nothing but a system. It will process the input signal and produce the output. So a generator is also your system. A generator is a meaningful interconnection of various devices, armature, conductors, everything. So which process the input signal and produce the output signal. So what is system means? A system is process. It processes the input signal and produce the output signal. That is nothing but the system. You can take any system, a transformer. If you take the transformer, so a transformer is also a system because it is a meaningful interconnection of various devices and components. This system on its own cannot achieve anything unless until you provide the input signal. It cannot achieve anything. So if you provide the input signal, it processes the input signal and it produces the output signal. For the transformer, it processes your voltage as an input signal and produce the voltage as the output signal. Step up the voltage or step down the voltage. So on the whole, a system is nothing but it will process the input signal and produce the output signal. Therefore a system is defined like this. It is a process which processes the input signal and gives the output signal In other words, a system is nothing but the meaningful interconnection of various devices and components. So this is about the definition of system. So what are the examples? So if you take the speaker of your laptop, so which is nothing but the system. It will process the input signal, electrical signal as an input, and it will produce the voice signal as a output. That is sound signal. That is your system. Speaker is also nothing but the system. So if you take anything like a video recording softwares, what is a video recording software? It is a system. It processes your input video and produce the output video. After the modifications, it will produce the output video. So that is also nothing but the system. Or if you take any filter circuit, so it takes the input as the electrical signal and it will filter out the noise in that signal and it will produce the the output signal, which is also an electrical signal. So you can take any system. A system function is it will process the input signal and produce the output signal. Therefore the system is a process which processes the input signal and gives the output signal Now coming to the classification of the systems. So coming to the classifications of the systems. So classifications of the systems. So a system is nothing but it processes the input signal and produce the output signal. Classification of systems. So when it comes to the classification of the systems, so like signals, systems are also classified into two types. Number one is continuous time systems. So continuous time systems, CTS stands for continuous time systems. How we are going to classify the signals? Signals are also classified into two types: continuous time signals and discrete time signals. So like signals, we classify the systems also into two types. One is continuous time systems, another one is discrete time systems. So first we will look into the continuous time system. What is a continuous time system? So a continuous time system, as the name itself indicates, so it will process the continuous time signal as an input. So a system is this is the representation of the system. So a system is represented inside the box. So with that box we provide one signal at the input. So this is your input. So which is your x of t, because it is a continuous time system. So and it will produce the outputs, which is your output is represented by y of t. So this is the standard representation of this system, standard notation of this system. If it is an input, it is represented by x of t. So if it is an output, it is represented by y of t. Throughout the subject, x of t is our input, y of t is our output. So this is a continuous time system. What is a continuous time system? A continuous time system will process a continuous time input and produce a continuous time output. If it processes a continuous time signal as an input and produce the continuous time signal as the output, so it is nothing but your continuous time system. Sometimes this input is also called as excitation. So we call this input as excitation. Sometimes we call this output as response. After processing the input signal, it will produce the output, which is your response. In this signals and system subject, so we are only talking about the single input single output systems. Whatever the systems I named in the systems example, all are single input and single output systems. It will process the single input and it will produce the single output. So in this signals and systems subject, we are going to discuss only this type of signals, single input and single output signals. So this is about the continuous time system. A continuous time system is nothing but it will process a continuous time input signal and it will produce the continuous time signal as the output. That is your continuous time system. So here the system is represented by h of t. Your system is represented by h of t. That is the representation of your system. Whatever the system inside the box, that system is represented by h of t. Here h of t is, we call h of t is impulse response. Here h of t is called impulse response. So this is very, very important. So it is represented by, your system is represented, whatever the system inside the box, that is represented by the function h of t. Your input is x of t, your output is y of t. Input is also called as excitation, output is also called as response. So your system is represented by h of t. So h of t is called, what is this called? H of t is called impulse response. Impulse response of the system. We will talk about this impulse response after few classes. We will talk about this impulse response, what is impulse response, and how can we get the impulse response, how can we get the output, how can we calculate the output. So those things we will discuss later in the later course of this subject. But up to now, the system is represented by the h of t. The system is represented by h of t, which is the impulse response. All of you remember this. Your input is x of t always, your output is y of t always, if it is a continuous time system. And your system is represented by h of t. Your system is represented by h of t. Whatever the system inside the box is there, that is represented by h of t, where h of t is impulse response of the system. Impulse response of the system. So we will talk about this impulse response in the later course of the subject, but up to now you should remember here h of t is impulse response of the system. Impulse response of the system. And you also remember one point clearly here. We do not concentrate about the working of the system. Whatever the system inside the box, we do not concentrate on the how the system is going to work. How the system is going to work. We only concentrate on the relationship between the input and output. We only concentrate about the relation between the input signal and your output signal. In the signals and systems subject, we do not concentrate about the structure of the system. So whatever the structure is there for system, that is only represented by the rectangular box. We do not concentrate on the working of the system, how the system is going to process the input signal. We don't bother about that. Only we concentrated the relationship between the output signal and input signal. That is depends on your impulse response of the system. Entirely depends on the impulse response of the system, which is your h of t. Remember here clearly, we do not concentrate on the internal structure of the system. Whatever the structure of the system is there, leave it. You do not concentrate on its working. So you just concentrate the relationship between the input signal and the output signal. So that relationship is characterized by the impulse response of the system. That relationship is governed by the impulse response of the system. So impulse response is very, very important. Depends on the impulse response, the relationship depends. Whatever the relationship between input and output is there, that relationship is depends on your impulse response of the system, which is your h of t. H of t is the impulse response of the system. System is represented by h of t always. System is represented by h of t always. H of t is a impulse response of the system. And one more thing is, you do not concentrate about the working of the system. Whatever the system inside is there, the inside the box is there, you do not bother about the system and its working. You just concentrated about the relationship between the input and output signal, y of t and x of t. So that is given by your impulse response, which is your h of t. You just concentrate on these signal x of t and y of t and h of t. This is about the continuous time system. So when it comes to the discrete time system, so a discrete time system processes the discrete time signal as input. So this is your system. It processes the discrete time signal as input. So x of n is the input here y of n is the output. So a discrete time system acts on the discrete time signal and produces the discrete time signal as the output. So this is about the discrete time system, and the system here, it is represented by h of n. So h of n is the impulse response in the case of discrete time system. In this case of discrete time system, your system is represented by h of n. Your system is represented by h of n. H of n is the impulse response in the case of discrete time system. In the case of continuous time system, it is represented by h of t. In the case of discrete time system, it is represented by h of n. So what is discrete time system? So a discrete time system acts on the discrete time signal and process the discrete time signal as an input and produce the output as the discrete time signal output y of n, and it is represented by h of n. Here also we do not concentrate about the system. We do not concentrate about the system, how the system is working. We do not concentrate. Only we concentrate on the relationship between the input and the output signals. So that is given by your impulse response. That relation entirely depends on your h of n, which is your impulse response of the system. So this is the classifications of the systems. Systems are this is basic classification of the systems. Systems are classified into two types: continuous time systems and discrete time systems. So I will give little note on the impulse response. So what is an impulse response? So all of you remember here. So we will talk about this in detail in the later course of the subject, but up to now, what is impulse response? So what is the impulse response? Here if you observe the impulse response, we have two terms. One is impulse, another one is response. One is impulse and another one is response. This is your impulse, this is your response. So what is impulse response is nothing but the output of your system due to impulse input. Whenever you apply the impulse signal as an input to your system, that means for a continuous time systems, so if you give input as the impulse signal, so which is differentiated by delta of t. So if your input is x of t is delta of t, then your output y of t, which is equal to h of t, is the impulse response. So impulse response is nothing but the response of the system for the impulse input, for the input as impulse input. So when you give the impulse signal as an input to your system response is nothing but the impulse response. How can you find the impulse response? To find the impulse response, you just apply, instead of input signal, you just apply, instead of x of t, you just apply delta of t. Here delta of t is the impulse signal. So the response obtained is called the impulse response, which is your h of t. So this is the case of continuous time signals. If it is a discrete time signal, means what? So what is the impulse response? See, if x of n is equal to delta of n, so instead of x of n, we just give the impulse input as the input signal to the system, then the response obtained, y of n is equal to impulse response, which is your h of n, This is the impulse response. How we are going to find the impulse response? We will talk about this impulse response in detail in the later course of the subject, but up to now you can understand the definition of impulse response. So definition of impulse response is, it is the response of the system for the impulse input, that is y of t is equal to h of t. So under which case? Under x of t is equal to delta of t. This is your impulse response. This impulse response is so very important. So impulse response is very important. So you can remember this definition. Up to now you can remember this definition. How can you find the impulse response? You can find the impulse response by giving the input signal as the impulse signal as the input signal, and we can easily find out the response, which is your y of t, that is your h of t. So one more response is there. All of you know already, the step response. So already you know the step response of the system. So one more response is nothing but the step response. So what is the step response? So the response of the system. Here what is the response? Here also we have two terms. One is step, another one is response. So what is the response? So response is nothing but the output. So what is your output? So your output is y of t. So your output is nothing but y of t always. So the response of the system for the input as, so unit step. So if you give, so x of t as your unit step function, as an unit step function, then the output obtained is called the step response. Then the output is obtained is called the step response, which is denoted by, so s of t. So s of t is the step response of the system. Instead of h of t, here we will get s of t. So if input is a unit step, the output will get is unit step response. Unit step response. So if input is impulse input, the output will get is called the impulse response, which is denoted by h of t, which is denoted by h of t. So if the input applied is unit step signal, if the input applied is called unit step signal, the response here y of t is called unit step response, which is denoted by s of t, which is denoted by s of t. So we talk about this impulse response in the later course of this subject. This is impulse response is very important, because if you find the impulse response which is h of t, if you find the impulse response which is h of t, so we can easily characterize the nature of the system. All of you remember here. So if you find the impulse response of the system, if you know the h of t, if you know the system function which is your h of t, you can easily characterize the nature of your system. You can easily characterize the nature of your system, whether the system is stable or unstable, whether the system is a linear system or non-linear system, whether the system is a time invariant system or time variant system. So whatever the nature of the system is there, we can easily characterize the nature of the system with the help of the impulse response, with the help of the impulse response. So impulse response is very important topic. So impulse response is very important topic. With the help of impulse response, we can easily characterize the nature of your system, whether your system is stable or unstable, whether the system is linear or non-linear. Like that, we can easily characterize the nature of your system with the help of the impulse response. So impulse response is very important topic. So we concentrate on the impulse response in the later course of the subject, but up to now you should know the definition of impulse response. It is the response of the system due to impulse input, whereas the step response, the response of the system due to unit step as the input, that is your step response. We don't concentrate on the step response. So with impulse response and step response, so impulse response is very important, because the nature of the system depends on the impulse response, whether it is h of t for a continuous time system or h of n for a discrete time system. So we only concentrate on the impulse response, we do not concentrate on the step response of the system. So most of the nature of the system entirely depends on the impulse response only, not step response. So we only concentrate on the impulse response of the system in the later course of the subject. So this is about the classification of the systems. We have two classifications, one is continuous time and another one is discrete time. So again, the continuous time and discrete time systems are further classified into the following categories. So this is the basic classification: continuous time signal and discrete time systems. It is the basic classifications of the systems. Again, the continuous time systems and discrete time systems, both systems are further classified into the following categories. Depends on the properties the system is exhibited, whether it is a continuous time system or a discrete time system. Both the systems are further classified into the following types. The first category of classification is a linear So linear and non-linear systems. Linear and non-linear systems. Both continuous time systems and discrete time systems. We have two systems. Basic classification of the systems. These two systems are again classified into the following categories based on the properties the system is exhibited. The system is exhibited. So one is a linear and non-linear systems. One is linear and non-linear systems. So L stands for linear. NL stands for non-linear systems. So another one is time variant. TV stands for time variant and time invariant. TI stands for time invariant system. TV is time variant and TI is time invariant systems. Time invariant systems. So the third category of classification depends on the property the system is exhibited, whether the system is continuous time system or a discrete time system. Third category of classification is stable and unstable systems. Stable and unstable systems. Fourth category of classification is static and dynamic systems. S stands for static, D stands for dynamic systems. So next one is causal and non-causal systems. Causal and non-causal systems. Next one is invertible and non-invertible systems. Invertible and non-invertible systems. These are the classifications of the systems. Based on the properties the system is exhibited, we classify both the continuous time systems and discrete time systems are further classified into the following categories. All categories are very important. The first category is linear and non-linear system. Linear and non-linear system. Second category of classification is time variant and time invariant system. Third one is stable and unstable systems. So fourth one is static and dynamic system. Static system is also called as memoryless. Dynamic system is called memory. Fifth category of classification is causal and non-causal systems. Causal, C stands for causal and non-causal systems. Sixth category of classification is invertible and non-invertible systems. Invertible and non-invertible systems. So based on the first two categories, again we classify the systems into the following categories. One is LTI system. So LTI system. So based on the first two categories of the classification, we again classify the systems into the following categories. LTI system. All of you here, LTI system means what? So it is a linear system plus it is a time invariant system. So LTI system means linear and it possesses the properties of linearity and it possesses the properties of time invariant. So LTI system is linear plus time invariant system. So that is your LTI system. Next, LTV system. So LTV system. So LTV is nothing but linear system plus time variant system. So that is your LTV system. Third category of classification based on the first two categories is non-linear time invariant systems. Non-linear time invariant systems. Nothing but non-linear system plus time invariant system. So fourth category of the classification depends on the first two categories is non-linear time variant system. Non-linear time variant system. So non-linear system plus time variant system. So based on the first two categories, we classify the systems further into LTI system. So apart from all the categories of four categories, the first category is very important. So LTI system, whatever the systems available, we have all the systems are under the classification of LTI system only. The real-time system is always the LTI system. The real-time system is always the LTI system. So we will talk about this LTI system in detail in the later course of this subject. So LTI system. So very important, LTI system, linear and time invariant system. So remaining three categories not important. We do not consider these remaining three categories. No use of studying these three categories. Only the LTI system is very important. All practical systems are of LTI systems. So this is about the classifications of the system. Next, when it comes to the linear and non-linear systems, how we are going to define this linear and non-linear systems. So linear system is nothing but linear and non-linear systems. So if the system output, always the output is y of t. I already told you, y of t is output, x of t is input, h of t is the impulse response. So when it comes to the definition of linear and non-linear systems, if the system output varies linearly with respect to its input, the system is always a linear system. All of you understand here. If the output of the system, that is your y of t, is always varies linearly with respect to its input, that system is a linear system. Otherwise this system is a non-linear system. So if it is a linear system, so it obeys two conditions. It must satisfy the two conditions. So if the output varies linearly with respect to its input, that is a linear system. If the system is a linear, so it must satisfy the two conditions. So one is the condition of homogeneity. So it must satisfy the condition of homogeneity. What is the homogeneity? So if x of t is the input you are applying to your system, and your system produces output y of t. If you apply x of t is the input to your system, if your system produces the y of t, then the homogeneity states that if you scale your input and apply to your system, so if your system produces the scaled output, if your system produces the scaled output, then it follows the principle of homogeneity. Then your system follows the principle of homogeneity. If it is a linear system, it must satisfy the two conditions. One condition is condition of homogeneity. What is the condition of homogeneity? If x of t is your input, it is given to the system. If system produces the output y of t, then so if you give the scaled version of your input, which is a times x of t, to your system, if the system produces the same amount of scaling in the output also, then the system obeys the principle of homogeneity. So whatever the scaling, your input, your scaling, here a is the scaling factor. Your input is scaled by a factor a. Your output is also scaled by the same factor. That is the principle of homogeneity. So it must satisfy, a linear system must obey the principle of homogeneity. Definitely it obeys the principle of homogeneity. Otherwise the system is not a linear system. So what is the second condition? Second condition is, so it must follow the principle of superposition. it must follow the principle of superposition. All linear systems must follow the principle of superposition. So what is the principle of superposition? So if x1 of t is input given to the system, it will produce the output y1 of t, and x2 of t is another input given to this system, same system. So if it produces the output y2 of t, then the superimposition of the inputs. So if I apply the superimposition of the two inputs, so if I get the superimposition of outputs at the output, then the system follows the principle of superposition. Remember here, linear and non-linear systems. So first point is, how can it define the linearity of the system? If the system output linearly varies with respect to its input, that is a linear system. For a linear system, it must satisfy the two conditions. What is the first condition? Condition of homogeneity. Condition of homogeneity states that whenever you scale the input, the same amount of scaling happens in the output also. So if you apply a times x of t, in the output also you will get a times y of t. Same amount of scaling is happening in the output also. That is the principle of homogeneity. So what is the principle of superposition? To explain the principle of superposition, let us consider the two inputs. x1 of t is your input, which is given to this system. System will produce the output y1 of t. If x2 of t is the input given to the system, it will produce the y2 of t. Then if you superimpose the two inputs, that is this case x1 of t plus x2 of t, you will get the superimposition of the outputs like this, y1 of t plus y2 of t. This is the principle of superposition. Every system which is a linear will obey the two conditions compulsorily. It will follow this principle of homogeneity, and it will follow the principle of superposition. If you combine these two conditions, so I will write the condition of linearity is like this. So it is if x1 of t is the input, so it will produce the output y1 of t. So if x2 of t is the another input, I will combine the two conditions, which is condition of homogeneity and condition of superposition, and I will make the statement to check whether the given system is linear or non-linear. For that, you just note down this condition. x1 of t is your input signal given to this system, it will produce the output y1 of t. If x2 of t is the another input signal given to your system, it will produce the output y2 of t. Then the principle of linearity states that, so if you apply the weighted sum of inputs, so this is your weighted sum of inputs. So weighted sum of inputs. So in these two statements came the principle of homogeneity and principle of superposition. Both statements came. So if we apply the weighted sum of inputs to the same system, so if it produces the weighted sum of outputs in its output, so which is a into y1 of t plus b into y2 of t. So this is called weighted sum of outputs. I just combine the two statements, statement of homogeneity and a statement of superposition. So we will get weighted sum of outputs. So I just add the two statements. If the system is a linear, it must obey the principle of linearity. The principle of linearity states that it follows two conditions. One is homogeneity, another one is superposition. I will combine the two conditions of homogeneity and superposition and finally make one statement like this. If you give the weighted sum of inputs to a system, if it will produce the weighted sum of outputs, then the system is a linear system. Here in this weighted sum, two conditions came. Condition of homogeneity, because we are using the scaling factor here on the two inputs, and condition of superposition is also came. We superimpose the two inputs. Therefore, this is the weighted sum of inputs. And when we give the weighted sum of inputs to the system, if the system produces the weighted sum of outputs, then the system is a linear system. Otherwise, the system is a non-linear system. The system is a non-linear system. Very, very important. Linear and non-linear systems. So, what is linear and what is non-linear systems? If the system is linear, it must obey the two conditions: condition of homogeneity and condition of superposition. So, if you club these two conditions, finally you can make the statement like this. So, if x1 of t is input given to the system, it will produce the y1 of t is the output, and if x2 of t is the another input given to your system, if it produces the y2 of t is the output, then if I give the weighted sum of inputs to the same system, if it produces the weighted sum of outputs, then the system is definitely a linear system. Otherwise, the system is a non-linear system. So, if you solve the examples, you can easily realize this concept of linear and non-linear. So, when it comes to the definitions, definitions are very much easy, but when it comes to the problem solving, so it will somewhat difficult. Unless until you practice the problems. It is very difficult to solve the problems, to check whether the given system described by the relation of input and output is a linear or non-linear. So like that they are asking, some systems are given, you need to check those systems falls under which category of the classification. Like that they are asking. Suppose if I consider the equation like this, suppose if I describe a system, they are defined by this equation, y of t equal to x of t plus 5. Suppose a system is described by this relation. I already told you, we do not concentrate on the working internal structure of the system. We only concentrated in the input and output relation that is given by the system, that is given by your system. So I write the system relationship here. Your system is defined by this relation. Example, to check the linearity and the non-linearity nature of the system, you just consider this example. Suppose if the system is described by this relation, y of t equal to x of t plus 5. Check whether the given system is a linear system or it is a non-linear system. You just check whether the given system is a linear system or non-linear system. To check whether the given system is linear or non-linear, first you have to give one input to the system. So you are giving x1 of t is the input, so we will get y1 of t is the output. So what is y1 of t here? x1 of t plus 5. So you have given another input x2 of t. So what is your output? y2 of t for the input x2 of t. So this is your x2 of t plus 5. x2 of t plus 5. Now in the next case, you just give this weighted sum of the inputs. So which is your x1 of t plus b times x2 of t. So this is your weighted sum of inputs which is given to your system, and find out the output of the system for this input. So let us consider this is y dash of t. the output due to weighted sum of inputs. So wherever the input is there, you just substitute the weighted sum of inputs. So a into x1 of t plus b into x2 of t. Here what is output? Y of t is x of t plus 5. So instead of x of t, now you substitute the weighted sum of inputs plus 5. Now check your output. This is output due to weighted sum of inputs. Now what is the condition? The output due to weighted sum of inputs always is equal to weighted sum of outputs. I already told you. So this is weighted sum of in the output we'll get this equation, weighted sum of outputs. If you give the weighted sum of inputs, so I give here the weighted sum of inputs. Now in the output what I will get? I will get the weighted sum of outputs. I will get the weighted sum of outputs. Can I get the weighted sum of outputs here? So a into x1 of t is what? A into x1 of t. Or you can take here x1 instead of x1, if you take a is 1, no need to take a and b, a equal to 1. Your a and b are I considered as 1 values. So this is your weighted sum of inputs, x1 of t plus x2 of t. So if I gave the weighted sum of inputs, can I get the weighted sum of outputs? So what is your x1 of t plus 5? It is y1 of t. So what is x2 of t plus 5? It is y2 of t minus 5. So is this, observe the output. This y dash of t is output due to weighted sum of inputs, which is x1 of t plus x2 of t. I superimpose the two inputs. Earlier I applied the inputs separately. So y1 of t will get for x1 of t will get y1 of t. For x2 of t will get y2 of t. Now I will superimpose the two inputs in the next step. Now I will calculate the output. So which is y dash of t. Let us consider y dash of t. So your y dash of t, what I will get? Y dash of t is y1 of t plus y2 of t minus 5. Minus 5 is there. So this is weighted sum of outputs. But we have an extra factor, minus 5 is there. So when you calculate the output due to the weighted sum of inputs, you do not get the weighted sum of outputs. We are not getting the weighted sum of outputs. There is an extra factor, minus 5 is there here. You do not get the weighted sum of outputs, and your system is not obeys the condition. The condition of linearity, it not obeys the condition of linearity. Therefore the system is a non-linear system. To check whether the given system is a linear or non-linear system, you just apply the weighted sum of inputs to the system. If we get the weighted sum of outputs, definitely the system is a linear system. For that what is the procedure? First you apply x1 of t is the input, calculate the y1 of t. Next you apply the x2 of t is the input, calculate the y2 of t. So after applying the individual inputs, now you apply the weighted sum of the inputs, which is your x1 of t plus x2 of t. Here I will consider a and b is equal to 1. Yes, therefore x1 of t plus x2 of t is the weighted sum of your inputs. Now calculate the output, y dash of t. Let us consider it is y dash of t. Here y dash of t is the output due to the weighted sum of inputs. Wherever the input is there, you just substitute in the place of input weighted sum of the inputs. Here x of t is your input. In the place of x of t, you just substitute the weighted sum of inputs, which is your x1 of t plus x2 of t plus 5. Now observe this equation. Is this equation is a weighted sum of outputs or not? No, it is not the weighted sum of outputs. So up to this is the weighted sum of outputs, but we have the factor minus 5 is involved here. So this output is not the weighted sum of outputs. Output is not the weighted sum of outputs. So it is not equal to, so y1 of t plus y2 of t. It is not equal to y1 of t plus y2 of t. So your output y dash of t, which is due to the weighted sum of inputs, is not equal to weighted sum of outputs is not equal to weighted sum of outputs. Therefore the system is a non-linear system. Therefore the system is a non-linear system. You can take another example to illustrate the linearity of the system. So let us consider the system given by the relation is y of t equal to like this x of t, like this x of t. You remember here, if the system defined with respect to the constants in your relation, in the relation y of t and x of t, if we observe the any constant, value, directly you can say that system is a non-linear system. System is a non-linear system. Important observation you can note down here. If the system described by the equation consists of the constant values, you can directly say that system is a non-linear system. If the system is described by the relation which consists of the constant values, that system is definitely a non-linear system, because it does not obey the principle of homogeneity and principle of superposition. Definitely that is a non-linear system. Suppose if the system is governed by this relation y of t equal to x of t, now we check whether the given system is a linear and non-linear. This is definitely a linear system. It is a linear system. So when you apply x1 of t is the input, so you will get y1 of t as the output. What is your y1 of t? Your y1 of t is x1 of t. So when you apply x2 of t is the input, so what is the output? We will get y2 of t is x2 of t. So in this third step, so when you apply the weighted sum of inputs, which is x1 of t plus x2 of t, or you can take a times x1 of t plus b times x2 of t, so we will get output. Let us check this output. Y dash of t is, can we get y dash of t? So instead of input we substitute x1 of t plus x2 of t. So x1 of t plus x2 of t here. Now you check this output. Y dash of t is what? The output due to the weighted sum of inputs. You check whether the output due to weighted sum of inputs is equal to weighted sum of outputs or not. So what is your x1 of t? Your x1 of t is y1 of t plus what is your x2 of t? So it is y2 of t. So this is a weighted sum of outputs or not? So it is a linear system. The output due to weighted sum of inputs is equal to the weighted sum of outputs, that is your y1 of t plus y2 of t. Therefore the system is a linear system. That is the definition of linear system. Now you can check this case also. Suppose if I give the, you can try this one. So y of t is equal to x of t whole square. Now we check this, whether the given equation is a linear and non-linear system. System is described by this relation y of t equal to x of t whole square or x square of t. That is the system given to you. Check whether the given system is a linear system or non-linear system. To check whether the given system is a linear system, you just apply the two inputs individually, and finally you apply the weighted sum of inputs, calculate the output, and observe the output. If I get the output as the weighted sum of outputs, definitely that system is a linear system. Otherwise the system is a non-linear system. Now if we observe here, there is a squared value of input is there. Whenever the system described by the equation consists of powers, that system is a non-linear system. You directly take this as note. If the system is described by the equation which consists of powers, which consists of powers, definitely that system is a non-linear system. That system is a non-linear system. You can check using the usual procedure. You calculate the output, that is y dash of t. So this y dash of t is output due to weighted sum of inputs. Now this y dash of t is equal to a y1 of t plus b y2 of t. So this is weighted sum of outputs. This is output due to weighted sum of inputs. Whether the system defined by this relation holds good for this condition or not, you can check. So if it is not, it is a non-linear system. If it obeys this condition, it is a linear system. Directly I can say that if a system governed by the equation consists of the powers or square root values, definitely that system is a non-linear system. You can make note here. If the system defined by the equation consists of the constant values, definitely that system is a non-linear system. So y equal to mx plus c is of the form. C is a constant. The system described by the equation consists of the constant values. Definitely that is a non-linear system. You can make note of these valuable points. You can directly say whether the given system described by the equation is a linear or non-linear. Depends on the observations. So with this I will stop the today's class. We will discuss the remaining systems in the next class. See you in the next class.